Hey, this is Vinesh Sukumaran. Welcome to the Positive Behavior Podcast. As you know, this is a place where I talk about applications of positive psychology as well as ways to develop and demonstrate positive behavior in life. So, this is the third season of the Positive Behavior Podcast. This is also the third episode of the third season. And if you've been following the story so far, what I've been doing is I've been interviewing people who are close to me in life. Okay, and this third season is called Life Lessons from Friends and Family. And the idea is to bring out and elicit positive behaviors from their lives through a more or less structured interview. That's essentially what I'm doing here. Also, I've been getting a lot of requests from people of posting this on YouTube. So I've already started doing that. So you can get or you can see a recording of this entire podcast, this interview on YouTube. If you go to my channel, just look for Vinesh Sukumaran and you'll find my YouTube channel. You'll see a recording of this. Apart from that, you'll also see it on any of the other podcast, platforms on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and so on. Okay, so today I have another special guest. This podcast is called Life Lessons from Friends and Family. So she happens to be from the family side of my life. Her name is Rohini Vinod. She's going to tell you other things about herself. But to give you a snapshot, she's my sister-in-law. Okay, and so I have just one brother. I have an older brother, and she's my brother's wife. So without giving away much, my brother basically got married to his childhood sweetheart. So we all went to the same school. So I've known Rohini for 35 years now. I've known her for most of my life. And I think one of the things that stands out about her is the fact that, when times are rough, or even when times are great, when there's a family function, a family event, she's somebody who can really stand up and sort of take control and take responsibility. And that's one thing that always, I look up to her for, and that's a remarkable quality that she has. So that's a positive behavior right there. Okay. So welcome. By the way, I call her Ro, a short form for Rohini. Welcome, Ro, to the Positive Behavior Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It feels odd calling you Vinesh, but I'll stick to Vinesh for this call.
Yeah, you can also call me what you otherwise call me, or you can call me Vinesh, whatever suits you best.
Yeah.
So, before we begin, just to start, do you want to give the audience an overview of who you are, what's your background, so that, later when we get to the positive behavior part, they know who it's coming from?
Sure. So, I think it was very sweet what you said in the introduction part of it. I felt really good. So we'll start with that. Hi everybody, I'm Rohini Vinod. I'm Rohini Ramanujam also. So I come from a mixed background family. My dad is a Tamil Brahmin. My mom is a Kannadiga. She's a Lingayat. And I'm married into a Malayali family. Emphasis on the family part of it. And I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, so everything that comes with the territory, of course. I have two daughters. I have a 17-year-old daughter. She's called Rishta. And I have a 13-year-old daughter named Boksha. So that is something, a little bit of my personal thing. Well, you can say I'm a proper Bangalore cosmo person. Yeah, so I fit in best, I think, over there. Career-wise, I'm an IT professional, and work-wise, I've done, I think, a variety of roles. I started off with research. I was in ISC. Then I have moved on to do, proper technology and core IT. That was at Mphasis and Philips. And then I completely changed. I went into vendor management and HR and recruitment. So that was at Sprint Software. And then again, I changed. I went into mainstream again with project management with Accenture. So this current phase of my life is, I think, I've taken a break from work, and with the pandemic and everything, it has just extended. The break has, extended for almost 2 years now. But I think it's a good phase. I'm enjoying the phase. So let's see what, comes up next. I think a bit of my childhood, I kind of enjoyed doing multiple things throughout. I would, even when I was at school, I had hockey going. I used to play hockey for the school, and then there would be, various competitions or debates or elocutions and stuff that, I would participate in. I think this trend continued, even into adulthood. Even I was working, I would seek out things that I could do, a variety of stuff. So I really enjoyed having different roles and trying out different things. So I think so this phase actually where I'm at home with family and with kids and everything it's been a kind of a slowdown for me, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's been good, I think, much needed.
Okay, sure. So thanks for that overview, that backdrop, Ro. So that I have enough friends who've gone to some good universities to study and applied and done different things. And one of the things I noticed is that people who apply to go into these big universities, they would ask them, what else did you do apart from your studies? Okay, of course they would ask them about what they did, but what else did they do? So you worked for 5 years. What else did you do apart from work? It's a very typical sort of thing to explore in the application and in the selection process. And later, when I studied positive psychology, I realized that this idea of what else do you do is quite important in life. So this idea of leisure, what do you do apart from what you typically do and all the things that you described, okay, about your life. So leisure is an important part of positive psychology. So do you want to say a bit about what do you do apart from work? And in nowadays, you said you're spending a lot of your time with family, taking a break. But apart from that main thing that you do in life, what are the other things that you do? And what's your idea of having fun? What's the idea of just having a good time?
That's a good question. I think when you say idea of having fun, couple of things that, there are a lot of things that comes up. The first thing that, I want to say is I just love to stay up in the night when everything is quiet, everybody has gone to sleep, there is no traffic noise, you don't hear any TV, no gadgets, nothing, where you can really hear your thoughts. I think I just love the quietness and I tend to do that very often. I think almost once a week or twice a week I just stay up really late after everybody has hit the bed, and it's good. It's a very quiet time that I really enjoy. I love the idea of travel, being on the road. We love road trips. Luckily, our the family has also adopted this thing of road trip, and we do that as often as possible. Considering the school and work scenarios, I think we travel. We all enjoy that part. That feeling of you're constantly moving, but things happening in the background, and things are just moving by you, passing by you is a nice feeling. I enjoy movies. We watch a lot of romantic movies, watch a lot of sports related activities. We watch almost all cricket and football and tennis and any games that's happening, badminton, TT. So I think the good thing of it is all of these things everybody else in the family picks up, and we sit together and watch it together, participate in this whole thing together. So that's fun. Of late, I've been reading or rather watching also a lot of travel related movies and books. So that has been fun. So at least this phase, this is what I've been doing. And of course, we are a big foodie family. You can't talk about, anything what you do at home without talking about food. So definitely there's a lot of experimenting, cooking up a variety of other dishes. I think we all enjoy that. So yeah, I enjoy it personally too.
Well, I enjoy it too. So staying awake at night. So that actually, just for the audience here, my mom and I live downstairs, and my brother and Ro and the rest of the family and the kids live upstairs. So now that explains all the noise that comes from upstairs, late at night when I'm trying to read and, So staying awake at night, traveling, watching movies, watching sport, and being a foodie family. I think that's something that I can relate to. Okay, so here's the, one of the ways to develop, or rather, one of the ways to define positive psychology is, it's a study of, or, it's an exploration of what's going right or what's going well. And I've noticed that there's always something going well with a person, with a family. There's always something going well with a system, with an organization, and so on. And this is one of the things I've been doing with a lot of the guests that I'm having here. I've been asking them, you've done all the things that you've done in life. You've worked in IISc, one of the most prestigious institutions in the country. You worked with Accenture, and you've been a great mom to two wonderful children. So what are some things that you think you did right in life? And what are some of the things that you had going right? And I'm interested that you talk about things that you did, because if you say one of the things that happened right was I was born in Bangalore, somebody listening to it is just helpless about that fact. They can't do much about it if they're born somewhere else. So I'm more interested to know what are some things that you think you did right in life.
Well, some of the things that really worked out for me, at various points in times. The first thought that comes to me is having to juggle being a mom and trying to balance a career. A lot of times, especially when you're a mom, when you have your first child, it's a new experience altogether. You're also learning with this whole thing. So I think one of the things that I chose to do is I chose to work from home during that time. And for example, this was I think around 17 years ago. So work from home was not a familiar concept at all. So that was something which, it was a wishful thing. I wish we could do this. I wish that was possible. But then, yes, it worked out for me. I think I got to work on a lot of interesting opportunities that time. And I got to be at home, which is something that I wanted to do. And the second thing is, I think we should not be afraid of change, adapt. Because like I said, I switched from core IT. That's the time when I switched into vendor management and HR and recruitment and a few of those things. I think those were different experiences, new experiences, but I absolutely loved it. I had a good time. It was a good learning, and it gives you a satisfaction when you get something done and something new you've learned and you've been able to implement it or take it through. So it was good. When you start something new, it's almost like you're wiping the slate clean and you're starting all over again. So that's a good feeling to go with. It can be a little, well, you can say it's exciting. There's no chance of getting bored, or you don't get complacent. So that's good. Yeah. So these things really helped me. These were changes that I was able to adapt to. I think that was one key thing. It worked out very well for me. Even when I got married, right, the situations were so different. The people were different, languages were different, food was different. So I think a little bit of adaptability is good. It's good that you're flexible and able to, take in things is good. Those are things that worked out for me. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from what you're saying is you've been able to sort of be malleable enough to change, whether it's after your marriage or whether it's because you had to work from home when you had kids. You've sort of done things which were possible in that situation. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. And see, the thing is, you need to prioritize and see at any point in time. See, for example, I wanted to continue my career. I didn't want to take a full stop. So when you start off with the right intentions, you say, okay, I want to continue working. I think the opportunities will just manifest itself, and you need to take the opportunities, and how you take it forward is left up to you, right?
Right.
So yeah, there are different things. Like for example, one of the things I think which is very important is learning Malayalam when I got married, because it was very important to be able to communicate with people in the family. It's not just talking to your husband or talking to your kids at a later point, kind. So yeah, certain decisions you just need to adapt and take it forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a strong idea, where you're saying if you if you have the intention right, then the right opportunities will come. Then you have to sort of just go with it. So a lot of times when I work with people, when I coach people, one of the things you can almost say that coaching is based on is helping people achieve their goals, helping them get to where they want to in life. And I've noticed all sorts of people. There are people who want to get a great job, the people who want to quit a great job and do something else. There are people who want to make more money, be more successful in whatever form and way in which they define success. So my question to you is, what do you think are things which people should ideally be after in life? What do you think are ideal pursuits or for a good life?
Well, I think definitely number one would be health. You definitely need good health to enjoy any aspect or any sphere of your life. Again, health is relative. It's not about how whether you are able to walk 20 miles or whether you're within the required body weight, or it's important to balance both the physical part of it and the mental part of it. But definitely health is most important. The second thing is, I think, freedom of mind, freedom of space, of being able to think, being able to choose. These things are, freedom is more in terms of how you think of it in your mind. Because when you think freedom, I think it carries through in your actions, in your, what you choose and how you choose to do certain things. And then, of course, family and friends. These are the backbone, they're the support structure, and yet they are the ones where we pick up most of our values from, most of our beliefs from. So it's absolutely important to have a really good support system, have close relations with your family, have good friends you can sit and talk to late into the night or whenever you feel like. There is irrespective of spaces, irrespective of distances and the number of years that go by.
Nice. Were you going to say something else?
No.
Okay. So what I really like about this, Ro, it's like, a lot of times when people talk about pursuits which are really far away and almost, inaccessible. I like the fact that these things are so accessible to everybody, like health, worthwhile, quick, very direct pursuit. Freedom and family, which everybody can nurture, at least most people in the world. So I mentioned earlier that one of the ways to define positive psychology is to look at what's going well, look at what's going right, and one of the ways in which this expresses itself in a person's life is through strengths. So they say if you're using your strengths, you'll sort of live a better life. You tend to do things better if you are exercising your strengths rather than exercising your weaknesses, and so on. And what are these strengths? These are things that you are good at, and these are things that people seek you out for. These are things which you probably also enjoy doing and you do it well. So if you, can you share what you think are some of your strengths, and also talk about both things? Like, one is how did these become your strengths, and the other is also how did they help you? The fact that they are your strengths, how did that really help you in life?
Okay, well, strengths, a little bit of my childhood. My parents, both my parents were working, and I would be at home after school. I would come back and would be pretty much on our own till evening. And then I had a little brother. Well, little as in that time he was little, of course. He's 4 years younger than me. So at some level we were responsible for our actions. We were responsible to take certain decisions on a day-to-day basis, and make sure we are safe, and you also get your schoolwork done and other things done till by the time your parents come back. So I think something starts at a very young age. There I picked up on the responsibility part. I think I'm quite a responsible person. If I take pick up something, and I totally take responsibility for it. I wouldn't expect anybody else to really pitch in and do something, as in, great, if you want to do it, well and good, but this is my responsibility kind of a thing. Other than that, there's also independent. I like not just it's always great to have a very supportive parents, have a good family, your husband is very supportive, etc., etc. Everything said and done, it's always nice to, do something on your own, or have your own money, being able to plan some things. Say I want to do this with this money, or I want to invest it like this, or I want whatever, just go out and do what you want, kind of a thing. So I think being independent is important. I think I that is definitely one of my strengths. Yeah, so I mean, the dependencies should always be emotional dependencies. It should not be. It should not be because he's your husband, he's expected to take care of you. I think the best relations are things where the dependencies are emotional and not really beyond that. So yeah, I think these are my strengths. Yeah, I think another thing is I mean, this is like a dog with a bone. If I feel I have to do something, or I get involved in something, then till I finish that particular task, my mind, I'm constantly thinking of it. Even when I'm not really working on the task, I'm still thinking of it. So I tend to keep going on and on and on. So I think that also takes a lot of stamina, or being able to do it over a period of time. Maybe that has also helped me in, when I pick up these new roles or in new jobs at work. And yeah, so that is also another strength of mine, I think.
Okay, so if I just take these three things, you said being responsibility, independence, and making sure you're independent, as well as when you take up something, taking it to completion. How do you think someone listening to this podcast, one of the viewers or listeners saying, "Wow, these are superb. These are great qualities. How do I really develop this?" Do you have something to say about how someone listening to this can develop those three qualities: responsibility, becoming independent or chasing independence and then being independent, and also when you take up something, making sure you take it to completion?
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody has certain things that they want to do. I think it's not. I think the key is also not getting intimidated by how big the particular task is. Just get started. Have smaller have smaller goals or smaller steps, and when you see yourself achieving those things, I think it does wonders to your confidence. You're able to continue on, and also have a lot of patience, faith in yourself, that know that you can do these things. These are not most of the tasks are not something very, very new. It's been done and dusted most of the time. Somebody or the other has achieved those things. It can't be something so different, or those situations are not very uncommon most of the times. I think the key is just keep doing it every day. Don't think of how far you've reached, or how much further you need to go to complete those things. Just keep doing it, and after some time you will start realizing that you're actually getting better at it. And as you get better at it, that again feeds your confidence. You feel good about it. So just that habit, make it a habit of doing those things every day, what you have to do. So then the work or the extra effort that you're putting in, it doesn't feel like work. It's not exhausting at the end of the day. In fact, it kind of excites you and brings in a lot of energy there. Discipline to a certain extent, yes, because you need to stick to that particular task. There are days when you feel, okay, I have achieved nothing, but go back and do the same thing again the next day. What's the worst that can happen? You might not work at it, things might not work out the next day too, but eventually it will.
So starting small, I think that's a great strategy. People can start with small things and then keep doing it. And the second thing that you said is, do it. And then if you're not making progress, if you made really less progress, just go back and do it again and do it again. I just want to, I think that's pretty good in terms of being able to take responsibility and being able to become independent. What about this, the third thing that you mentioned? Is there something that someone can do, especially that idea of, if I pick up something, that's a big problem. That's something which I encounter quite often when I coach people. They start many things and then drop out. It could be starting a book and not finishing it. It could be starting a course and not completing it. It could be starting, getting into a program and not going all the way with it, whatever. Do you have something to say about how someone can develop that quality of, like you said, the dog with a bone. If I get into something, how do I really, if I don't have that quality especially, how do I really take it to completion?
I think, see, the first thing is like, you make a commitment to yourself, and most of the time the expectation out of yourself should be higher than what, others have expectations out of you. So when you say you have made a commitment, yes, you've started off with a small thing as reading a book. It's fine even if you do 2 pages per day, and after some time those 2 pages will look easier, and then you do maybe 6 pages a day. Every time you start off in the night, before you're sleeping or something, and you're reading a few pages and you just doze off, that's still fine, but just make sure you go back and do it the next day. Or maybe you can, at least that's something I do. I sit and think whether something can be done differently, if there is an easier way of doing it. The thing is like, the end goal is that I have to do this particular thing. That is a commitment that you have made to yourself, and you can't change it. How you do can always change it. So it's nice if you have a team, or you have your friends, or you have a buddy who's doing it with you, a friend who's doing it with you, or some support system to keep you, motivated, or some perks. It's more like, yeah, suppose you're trying, at least there was a period where I was trying to lose some weight, and it was quite a pain. It was very hard. It's not easy to lose weight, especially when you're talking of like 10 kgs or 20 kgs, especially when you start off, you're trying to change, you try and bring in too many changes. Then I realized, okay, this is not working for me. I can't bring in so many changes. But you just take a step back and say, okay, fine, let me not change everything. This thing is important, makes me feel like, yes, I'm doing something good. Whereas there are certain other things that I can get rid of. It's making it more difficult. So let me do this first for the first maybe 10-15 days, and then after that I'll see if it works for me, and then take something else. So I think you should always take a step back and think and see if you're doing what is required. You don't have to do anything and everything, or you can try something totally different, something which is completely out of the box, or so that will make the whole thing exciting and new. But the fact is that commitment is important. You're going to stick to the commitment. That doesn't change. How you make it fun for yourself, or make it motivating for yourself is left up to you. But I think each step by thing is step by step. What you do and how you do it is very, very important, because that's what keeps you motivated to do it the next day sometimes.
Right. So, I mean, you're talking about multiple things. You're saying, you can get a buddy, make it fun for you, do something different if what you're doing doesn't work. But I think the crux of what you're saying, maybe I should call this JKDI, just keep doing it. So that's it. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to just go on to something slightly different. Now, I mean, since we've been part of the same family now for more than 20 years, and I've known you for many more years before that. We've also seen each other's tough times. So do you want to talk a bit about what's helped you get through some of your toughest times in life? And I think this is something that I repeatedly keep getting asked, especially at times like this. There's a pandemic, there's a lockdown. Sometimes even when everything is hunky-dory, people are going through a tough time for whatever reason. So what has helped you get through some of the toughest times in your life?
I think I have a very strong connection with God. I have very strong faith. So I really believe in God. I feel everything said and everything done, there's, you can put in your maximum effort, and beyond that, there's nothing else you can do. There is something beyond that, and that is where the faith factor comes in. Because I think you need to constantly reiterate to yourself and keep telling, that after you finish whatever you have to do, finish putting in your effort, your best possible efforts, the rest just leave it to God. And then there's something else that works in your favor. I'm so sure that, He's going to take me through, carry me through the remaining part of the journey, or, make sure that you cross the bridge. Things work out for you eventually. So I think that is very key. That's very strong. Even in the darkest of moments, I haven't given up faith in God, and that's worked out very well for me. The other thing is, I think also that you don't give up on people, because there's a place for everybody in this world, and irrespective of how much you like a person or you don't like a person at that point in time, it should not be like that's the end of it kind. I think we should try and take the people who matter with us together, because at the end of it, it's we want to be included. Everybody wants to belong. That's the bottom line. So, and people will come through when you least expect it. So I think these two have been very, very important for me during the darkest periods.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about your belief in God. It's likely that somebody listening to this doesn't believe in God, or maybe they do. It doesn't matter. So that's one thing that certainly helped you, and that's clear. The second thing that you said, you never gave up your belief in God, but the second thing that you said was you didn't give up your belief in people. How do you do that? How do you do if, for example, even forget about people, say people I work with, or people, a manager working in a company, and there's somebody in his team, and you just he's on the verge of giving up on that person. Okay, or maybe sometimes it's a relationship between a boyfriend and girlfriend, or between just two people. What did you do? What specifically did you do mentally, or what did you do to not give up on somebody? How do you not give up on people? Do you have any thoughts or strategies on that?
Yeah, so it's not like a strategy, but it's more I think like I said, basic thing is people want to be accepted, they want to belong, they want to feel comfortable. They feel they have their clan, their their tribe, or their people, where they are they're free to say what they want, do what they want, and not be judged. So I think being judgmental is one key thing. I think I had to consciously work on and try not to be judgmental of whatever is happening. Just say like, okay, this happened, fine, this happened, but doesn't mean the person will do the same thing again. It's okay to talk about it sometimes. If there is an opportunity, definitely talk about it, saying that, okay, this is not going to work, or why don't we do it like this? But I think being non-judgmental is very key. And also, I think we should not take ourselves very seriously most of the times. It's okay. I mean, things happen. That's fine. Let's take things afresh the next day. When you start something again, you're never going to be perfect in everybody's stories. You'll always probably be a villain in somebody's stories. But then I think you can try and be different the next day. The story doesn't have to be the same the next day. So I think we should not take ourselves very seriously, and I think we should try and be non-judgmental.
Okay, so that's interesting. So being non-judgmental, not taking yourself seriously, I think that's a great thing. I think that straight away takes away a lot of load from everybody's chest. So a lot of people who I work with, I mentioned earlier that they're trying to either get to a bigger position in the company, or get to a different position in life, or achieve certain goals, or personal or material aspirations, and the crux of all this is really feeling good. Everyone's trying to feel good in some way or the other. So what is that? I mean, what does feeling good mean to you, and how does that feel?
Feeling good is being happy, being excited. I mean, you don't feel exhausted. You're filled with energy to so these things, apart from that, I think you also feel a sense of calm and contentment, and that is I think that's the more important part of feeling good. You feel very content, very balanced and calm inside. At least for me, when I feel good, that's how I feel, a sense of contentment. I think that defines it, feeling content at the end of it. When I'm feeling good, I always feel centered and balanced and content.
Okay, so for you it's happiness, feeling centered, feeling balanced, feeling content. So once again, I'm going to ask you my favorite question. How does somebody do this? So when somebody is listening to this and saying that, those are exactly, I mean, I can't imagine somebody listening to this and saying, oh, happiness and contentment, I don't want this. They're bound to listen to this and say, yes, that's exactly what most of us want. So what are some things that you suggest for anybody to do to feel happy, content, balanced, centered?
when I'm so usually you feel good when you feel happy when you have when I mean, it need not be when something has happened. You're just being on a you just being at home where things are going fine, everything is normal. It's important to just acknowledge the situation and say things are going well now. This is the this is the position exactly the same position I wanted to be in some time back. I was striving towards. So when you recognize something that you have which is happening at that point in time, and you say this is how it should have been, that's how you wanted it to be, and you acknowledge it, I think that also gives you a set of a sense of contentment. You feel good about it, and it's important to acknowledge those things. So even if it's at work, okay, fine, you have struggled, you finished your struggle, you have learned something new, or you have implemented something that has to be done, and you feel you've reached a point where yes, anything comes up, you're in a position to take those questions, and you're confident enough, you've learned this enough, there's nobody else who has more information about it. Okay, that's a wrong thing to say. It's not like nobody else has more information, but but you're in a good position where you have achieved or gathered enough knowledge about it. So that gives you a sense of control, sense of contentment too. So you feel that's a good position. But I think the first thing that I said, where you acknowledge a particular scenario and say, this is exactly where I wanted to be. I wanted to get married to Vinod. I wanted my children to grow up a certain way. I want my relation to be a certain way. I wanted to spend time with my friend. I'm meeting somebody after a long time, and we've been able to go out, and we're talking about something we used to do, when we were in college. You say, okay, I want to do that, we want to do this. And when you look back and you think back, you say, you've already achieved these things. It's good to be aware of those things, that yes, you have done these things, or you have those things in your life. That is a very important habit to cultivate, I feel, because that's what can bring in this sense of feeling good or feeling content and feeling happy. I think that is it's a stepping stone there.
Okay, so I'm glad you sort of reduced it to one big thing. So I think that's so true. Quite often, I think we set all sorts of goals, and when we finally reach those goals, we almost don't notice. We're too busy focusing on the next thing. So one of the things is just waking up, sitting up, and taking notice of all the good things that you wanted, which you've already got. Recently I posted this on, I think, Instagram. It's a quote by Bob Dylan, which said, even if you don't have what you want, be grateful for the things that you don't have that you don't want. Okay. So, okay, so we're talking about quotes, and one of the things I also notice nowadays, a lot of people who are trying to learn something new, trying to sometimes even have a problem and are trying to look for a solution or overcome a challenge. The two go-to places are, one is the internet, but the other thing is books. And on the internet, they either reading or watching something. These are the real two options, or you're talking to somebody. So do you have any suggestions or recommendations in terms of books or movies that somebody who's listening to this podcast can go and watch or read? And if you want, you can also share what you think is going to be the big takeaways from them.
I absolutely love Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That's a go-to book, definitely. That's a beautiful book, and it's written in such simple language. The sentences are so simple. It's really nice, very refreshing to read it every time you read it. Movies, I like Forrest Gump. That is something, again, it talks about how there's a place for everybody in this world, and you can be each of us are weird in so many. We all have our own quirks and weirdness in our day-to-day life, and I'm sure we bring in those factors in. So, but yes, there is a place for everybody. So it's nice when it gives importance. Everybody can do well in their chosen, irrespective of what it is. You're normal. There's nothing about it. You can be weird and you can be normal. That is what is nice about Forrest Gump. In terms of, and then there is also this movie called Mask, which is downright goofy and fun and light, and I guess there's we all want to just unwind and not think of anything and just watch something for the silliness of it. So I think Mask is one of such movies that I think these are three movies, I mean these couple of movies and this book that I've constantly gone back to at some point in time, or I was just feeling bored also, and I would want to watch these movies, or I would want to read this book.
Right. So Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Forrest Gump, Mask. What was the other movie?
That's it, Mask.
It's these two, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so these two movies and Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done with what I have to ask you, Ro. So if there's anything else that you'd like to share, you can go ahead and do that. I mean, the audience of my podcast channel is typically people who want to get better at something, who want to improve in some dimension of their life, who are often looking at takeaways, right? So is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
See, there was this lead at one of my workplaces, and he used to say that a bird which knows to fly doesn't have to be worried about the branch breaking. So I think if we are constantly trying to make ourselves good at what we want to do, you really don't have to worry about how the circumstances are going to pan out or how things are going to work out. It has to work out in your favor. So I think our duty is to make sure that we get good at what we're supposed to do. There's something that we're supposed to be doing to improve this particular situation. Just continue doing it. Don't worry about, how the other response is going to be, or, how, like I said, it could be any circumstances. So I think we should just continue doing what we are, and also start believing that we're already doing good. You are already getting better, and I think that brings in a lot of positivity too.
Nice. So I like that idea of, I think I've been a big a fan and follower of that myself, even before I heard you say this. So making sure you know how to fly, so that when branches break or even the tree falls, you're not threatened by it. Nice. So, in spite of knowing you for so long, Ro, I think speaking in this sort of a setup, I still learned some new things today from you, and heard some interesting ideas. I'm sure the audience here feels the same. So folks, if you like what you heard, if you have something to say, if you want to respond to what you just heard, if you want to share your own experience of using what you heard Ro describe today in this interview, you can go to my website, vineshsukumaran.com. You'll find my coordinates there. You can write to me, message me, email me. If you're watching this as a video recording on YouTube, you can just put your thoughts in the comments below. So thank you very much, Ro, for being on this interview. It was great having you here. I'm sure the audience feels the same. I look forward to meeting all of you sometime soon. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ro.
Thank you, Vinesh. I also had a good time. I enjoyed this entire conversation, this session that we had, and the advantage that we have here is we interact with you on a daily basis, so we get a lot of good thoughts and positive things from you too. So that has also helped us. So you can't take away that factor, but it's good. It's good that we have access to so much more, which I think is a privilege for us.
Yeah, you guys are so lucky you get a free ride. I know. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone for listening or watching this. Bye-bye. I look forward to seeing you soon. I'll be back with the fourth podcast of season 3. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Have a good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye-bye.